It's- all right, all right, all right. So back on this podcast here. Interesting events today on being a parent. With being a parent is something to be some days can be challenging, but it's a blessing. Some people want to call it a curse, but no, I think it's this. It sharpens us and makes us sharper. If we have any, most of us, myself, we do have some things in our lives that we also want to improve on, work on, our flaws. You want to call it. I don't know any parent that is flawless per se, because again, we're dealing with different entities, different beings, even though they're extension of us and they're just like us. So, so when it comes down to it, when I think of this, sports, I was thinking about my interaction with my sons today at a soccer game. And I'm not going to go into every detail, but because it's not fair, he's with his mom right now. I'm sure he won't like to talk about it. But the game today, you know, I was trying to coach from the sideline basically to my son, and I realized, no, the rules are, parents, you're not supposed to I'm sure you're not supposed to profane. I don't know the rules that the park set forth through the Los Angeles Park, which I need to read. That's something that brought to my attention because basically the point of this is that I trying to coach my son from the side. I noticed he was doing some things in the soccer game that I know he's capable of doing, and I was like, "Hey, son, do this," or run to the sideline. Hey, drink some Gatorade. Gatorade will replenish your electrolytes fast. Like you actually, you know, come up or water. If you want to drink water, fine. Like I like power. I like sports drinks. You don't have to be Gatorade per se, but if you like some type of sports drink whatsoever, um, it'll be effective for you. But I don't want to do any copyright thing because you start mentioning stuff. It can, you know, I don't want to break these rules and laws and stuff, get kicked off of YouTube for saying something that's not true. But I'm thinking, like, hey, you know what? Is it okay for me to coach my son or, tell the kids, hey, I've been coaching at this park off and on as a volunteer coach for since 2013. That's how many years is that? That's 12 years, going on 13 years now. And obviously, I grew up in the community. I grew up in Los Angeles County area. I grew up in different cities within the Los Angeles County and participated in these sports since I was in my youth. So am I being too presumptuous or I'm not being arrogant per se, but I'm not going to impede on, other people's thoughts and feelings. I'm not going to say, hey, it's not right for you to say anything during the game and when your son is on there trying to compete and stuff. Because I coach and I know I'm a parent. I'm like, I get it. I've been in games where everybody's yelling at the kids, go, So I'm doing the same thing because, the kids are going to pick and choose. I know it's difficult as a player to pick and choose, but sometimes it's good to hear your parents' voice, knowing that they're in the stands, they're rooting for you, they're trying to give you direction. You never know, someone might say something that might be true. So it's good. I think it's okay to listen, or if you already got a focus plan, block it out. That's fine. You don't have to listen to everything. I was pretty good at kind of like getting rid of the loud noise that didn't make sense. You can tell when someone's for you and they're not for you. But ultimately, my point is like I ended up having a discord argument with my son or I had to walk away from the game. I didn't argue. I just noticed I was going back and forth with him, and he was getting irritated. And so I was getting irritated because I'm like, why is my son disrespecting me, man? Like, why is he being so disrespectful to his father? And he's doing it in front of everyone. And so I thought of him like, you know what? I have to walk away because I was getting irritated because in that moment, you can say something that can really hurt somebody's feelings and you can be wrong, like, and be totally wrong about it. So I said, I told him I'm going home. I'm walking away. I gotta leave. This is towards the end of the game. I think it was probably like 10 minutes left. So it wasn't, you know, I watched most of the game and they did well. But my point is this: like, hey, if I had stayed, I'm pretty sure that it was a 90% chance that I was going to say something that would have got me kicked out of the park or embarrass my son, embarrass myself and the people around me, or just do something abrupt that would uncalled for. You know what I mean? Just I don't want to be the attention grabber and like trying to gain attention to myself or any particular way. Or there's times where you got to intervene. I know God says there's time for everything, but this wasn't the time. So I walked away. I said, "Okay, I'm out of here." Um, and I thought about it, and I had quite a time, a long time without thinking about it. I was sitting at the bus stop. Yes, I take public transportation, and I was like, "Hey." I prayed about it because I said some things to the guy in the back of my head, too, the people that were there. I was just in a bad mood, negativity, because I feel like I wasn't getting the respect that I thought I deserved. Maybe it was, but you know what? Um, no one said anything to me that was weird or angry. I think I was just disappointed, and this roots back to some old other stuff that I've been experiencing. That's why I walked away, because I realized it wasn't about my son and it wasn't about that particular moment. It was more about some stuff that happened in the past that I have not, no one's ever either apologized to me or said they felt like they were right about it, whatever the case is. And maybe it was also me coming off the wrong way, brash and too forceful. So I mean, I'm being very vague, but my point is it as a parent? I know there's a lot of parents out there that watch, probably not watching, but might come across this video, and kids too, and children, and young adults or teens. If you come across this video and you realize, like, and you're becoming a parent or you're a player, you're an athlete now, have some grace, have some some patience with your parents. In the game, it's not good to snap back at your mom or dad. Number one, it's not God. If you believe anything in God, the God I believe in, just through Jesus Christ, my Lord and Savior, and if you believe in any particular God that is good, be it Allah, Buddha, or Christ, you will see that peace and harmony is ultimately what we all want. We want love, self-respect. It says, in the Quran, it's in the Buddha. It's all these gods, in Jesus Christ being the one who set us free, also states, love thy neighbor, don't tempt your kids and a bunch of stuff. You read the Bible, you know what I'm talking about. But in there it says, don't disrespect your parents. Do not honor your mother and honor thy father, you know, honor thy mother and honor thy father. And I told my son this: the day that I started disrespecting my mom and dad is when the days led to me ending up in jail. So, yeah, that happened actually. That actually happened. I can be quite transparent with it, you know, because I was angry with my parents. I got into an verbal argument that led to us me fighting, and that's a whole nother stuff that I got into. And it was a family feud that for years that never got dealt with. And through counsel and through health, through clarity, through many apologies and forgiveness and prayer, myself and my family included have been able to move forward in a direction of learning how to care for each other and ourselves, care for ourselves and care for each other more, and be more careful about the things that we do and to say in life. Okay, that's more for another podcast. But this, being a sports, mainly sports, but actually it's about life and sports. It's about life and sports in life and outside of sports. And the idea is to bring forth knowledge and wisdom, and and understanding, and to bring ultimately the truth to what happens to be to better ourselves as athletes, as coaches, as parents, as citizens, And as workers, as whomever you are, in terms of if your vision for yourself is to mold yourself into something greater, or to keep or maintain where you're at and maintain the goodness in your life, and in some way, shape, or form. Okay, so I'm not claiming I'm not perfect. I see on my back it says God is love, the universe, math, and the word. I put math in there because that's something that we all have to uh, pay attention to, because numbers is a universal language. So I use math as a universal language. You don't have to, if you know math, then you can speak to anybody. So that's why I want to learn math better, because I wish I was greater at math, but I'm learning math even at this age, and I try to get better at mathematics in some form or another. So, and the Word of God and the universal principles that apply, and love. What love really is, and if I learn what love really is, then I'm learning what God really is. If I learn what God is, I'm gonna learn what love is. So then I know I'll have the answers, the correct answers. So, um, to sum it up, like, yeah, I think the conversation was more about, you know the psychological aspects, the mental health aspects, the things that are going on in this world today that lead us to discord, that lead us to harm people and harming ourselves. And as it's on the news. One of my favorite teams, sports teams, the Dallas Cowboys, lost a player the other day, and he ended up the allegedly he shot and killed himself. I think there should be done for further investigation on it. It doesn't seem that things, just based on what the media is telling me, doesn't add up. Right, this man who's actually um, one of the top. Let me pull it up here. 'Cause I actually forgot his name. I shouldn't have forgotten his name, but let me see. Dallas Cowboy player dies at. He's only. It says dies at 20. He's 24 years old. Marshawn Neeland dies at 24 years of age. Now, at the age of 24, I'm 46. So I'm, what, 22 years older than this man. At the age of 24, I had just started my professional career in basketball in Langen, Germany. Flew out to the United States. So at the age of 24, I actually remember having the things on my heart and my mind, because I was dealing with relationships, family, my grandmother, my family separated, and my grandmother and my mom sad because my grandmother was dying. She actually eventually died before we left. It didn't grasp on me because my ex girlfriend broke up with me. It was all a bunch of stuff in my mind. Actually, no, let me phrase that. I broke up with her to go to Germany. It's it's a cuckoo, bro. So anyways, that's another topic. But if you want to learn about things that can happen in this world through different people like myself, athletes and human beings, people from different cultures and stuff. I'm willing to share my part in that, because time is of the essence. Time is valuable. Well, you know, time is infinite in the universe, but in this physical body of ours, time is numbered according to God. How long it's going to be, I don't know. I hope to live for more than 100. I hope you live for hundreds of years. I hope to live. But we all know the average ages for human beings in the United States is in their 70s, it's upper 70s. Hopefully, if you get past 78, you're doing great. If you're in your 80s and 90s, you're doing super great. So it's not nothing to be sad about being old. So it's a great thing that God allowed us to be here, and it's just for us to put the message out. Um, about what God is and about what the truth is. And that's this platform, has this foundation on in God, truthfully. I'm not saying I'm not a sinner, because I have sinned, and I've sinned. I try to sin less. Let's just say that. And I have my things that I'm working on. I'm not trying to tell you what you should do right now or nothing like that, but give you ideas of what God has given me to better myself, and the temptations that I face and every day, and the struggles that I have. So that's on my personal end. We could talk about that later. But anyways, um, the bottom line is this. You know, we have. I'm learning to communicate. I hope you are too. I'm learning to communicate more effectively by listening and talking less. And then when I do talk, it not be perverse talk or hateful talk. We know the real things that really get inside of us. But if I'm talking that way, that means something has really gotten me, rubbed me the wrong way, or I have I haven't really grasped onto what is really bothering me, and ultimately not coming from a place that's wanting peace, because ultimately I'm just putting more frustration out there. Now it's okay to be authentic and say, okay, this this mother effer did this to me, and we'll deal with that issue, like, because that's happens. Like, you really, some people really did something, and on our brains we know, and when we've grown up, we haven't learned to process and say the right things, but you can call it what it is, and but you don't want to, that becomes devil too, though. So I'm trying to refrain from devil. Devil is he's the liar, the slanderer. So anything that's like slanderous in any particular way is the devil, basically. So you can look up the word devil. That's what it actually means. It means slanderer, accuser. So um, in sports, we have to deal with this demon because he's on this earth. They say he's a ruler of this earth, but God has come. When we put God into place, we can eliminate him in many different factors, or we can reduce the amount of devil that comes about. So, anyways, I won't make it too long. I was supposed to have a friend of mine, a good buddy for the past 30 years, available. Something occurred. I was not able to contact him today. I contacted him, but for some reason he was not able to pick up at the time we had alluded. I was about 4 minutes behind time that I had stated for him. Called him at 3 o'clock, 3:04 instead of 3 o'clock. So he could have just, I could have rubbed him the wrong way in terms of timeliness. That could have made him feel like, okay, you're not respecting his time. So I want to make sure that viewers know that, hey, I mean, he knows that I apologize for not being as punctual as I should have been for this particular podcast. But there, God willing, there will be more, and I'm gonna try to reach out to him so we can get some of this good news going, some of this information that occurred that in the past, over the past 30 plus years of in the sports, and into the present moment, to dealing with athletes today, as parents, as coaches, as fans, as human beings of this planet, and as people who of God's children. Let's do this. All right. So God be with you. Peace be with you, as God is peace with us, as Jesus is given to us, and to my fellow brethren, regardless of your religion. I wish you peace, love, and happiness, and have a great evening. Bye bye.